Bill, some really interesting news from the NBA. As we've seen, the NBA keeps expanding, legalized gambling. It's gotten into the business, and we found out on Tuesday that they're adding in-game betting to NBA League Pass. So now, on the officially sanctioned league app, through their official league gambling partners, you will be able to place live bets on live odds, teams that have winning percentages for the game in the third quarter.
Love it.
It's going to be fluctuating constantly. Is this a good idea or a bad idea?
Yes. Is that can I
That's
yes
probably
to
right.
yeah. Look, this was an inevitability, and Adam Silver, long before we hit that tipping point where gambling was just a reality, and the NFL went to Vegas, and it's okay. This is the way that it works. Adam Silver was always signaling his openness before this was a thing to
Yep.
gambling. He was ahead of this. He was forward thinking. I've had a conversation with him about it a long time ago when David Stern was still the commissioner, and we sat down in New York and they talked about gambling. So this is 10 years ago. They talked about gambling a decade and a half, 2 decades being integral. So this has always been a long-term plan for the NBA. They've signaled that. I like to gamble, John. Like I'm not afraid to put some money down. I go to Vegas or bet on some games, some football games, and I do think that in-game betting is a good way long term to actually build more viewers for the sport to grow it, because it is the NBA is tailor made for in-game gambling. There are 82 of these games, obviously more than 17 in the NFL. I think the NBA is a lot more exciting than baseball, but baseball people will tell you that in-game baseball betting is pretty fun too, and it's a slower pace, so you have some time to figure it out. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of negatives to this, but the NBA has always wanted to be in the gambling business. I think they correctly see some growth from this long term from people who gamble a lot and want to get into the gambling. And I think since it was always going to happen, to do it and control it and have it on League Pass and make it a part of that product, which is already really successful with people who just love hoops, I like it, despite what I'm sure will be some problems.
It felt a little shocking on its face at first, and yet this was also sort of inevitable, right? I mean, because it's way too late to put the gambling genie back in the bottle. Vegas has been a destination for expansion. Everybody knows about it. They've been talking about it forever. They just played their in-season tournament there, and then on top of that, I mean, you have arenas that already have sports books in them. The Wiz Arena has a sports book inside of it, and the Suns
Right.
Arena right next door to Guy Fieri Flavortown is the Caesar Sportsbook, right? Like it's like Guy Fieri and Caesar Sportsbook had a weird Flavortown gambling food baby, and now all of a sudden you don't even have to go to any of those. I've been there, by the way. It's excellent, and I'm very much pro diners, drive-ins, and dives, and I would love to roll out with Guy anytime he wants to come on the show. He's more than welcome. But like, this is where we are, right? It is a gambling society. The NBA figured it out. They're tapping into another revenue stream. I do want to bring this up though, because other people have pushed back, including notable players like Rudy Gobert. You'll remember that, like, not even a month ago, Rudy Gobert got teed up at a really inopportune time in a game against the Cavs where he made a money symbol at the referee. And then afterwards he said, I'm going to read the quote here. He said, "I'll be the bad guy. I'll take the fine, but I think it's hurting our game. I know the betting and all that is becoming bigger and bigger, but it shouldn't feel that way." He got smacked with $100,000 fine after that. So not only did the NBA say, shut up, pay your fine, but they paid him no mind and immediately rolled out live in-game betting on their app.
So this is the Pandora's box of the sport. And let's be candid. Gambling, like any other vice, is fun and fine if you can control it, and not everybody can control it. And you can just do a Google search on people that have been the financial person at the local church or at the local office or an accountant or any walk of life where people have had gambling problems, gotten themselves in trouble, and stolen and taken money or behaved in ways that are totally unacceptable. And NBA refs over an infinite timeline are not immune to that reality. Hopefully they're
Tim
immune to that
Donaghy.
reality. Right. And and it's happened to whatever degree. So yeah. And the thing
that's
is,
what I mean. Like, do you think that there'll be, because you already have players, we already saw the scandal. They had an NBA betting scandal previously with a referee named Tim Donaghy, who, by the way, grew up not far from me. That's apropos of nothing. But
he's
now
a Philly guy too?
Yeah, he grew up just outside of Philly.
Everybody's from Philly. Okay.
Everybody's from Philly. But that now you have guys, even before the NBA implemented this new policy where you can gamble through the NBA and its partners legally, you have guys who are prominent, who are superstars in this league, the potential defensive player of the year this season, like Rudy Gobert, openly questioning how referees might react to something like this.
So it's twofold, right? It's the concern that eventually you're going to have people in positions of authority, and not just refs, although that is the nightmare scenario. You could have assistant GMs or assistant coaches leaking it. We saw this in college baseball, right? People making adjustments because they're in trouble. And but then you have the players who are going to think or worry that it's happening. And even if it's not, if Rudy Gobert or any other player suggested it casts this cloud over the NBA and its integrity with gambling. And let me add this, John. If you have any organization, a person who works for any team or any ref who engages in bad behavior because they gamble too much and they need the money, you are in deep, deep, deep trouble. But in terms of your product and your brand, but also if you're Adam Silver and you've backed the gambling thing big time, and you've been doing this for 15 years with a plan, it's not going away, and the genie, as you said, ain't going back in the bottle. You got to be really careful that players aren't bringing up things that aren't existing or you don't want out there, because it makes you, Adam Silver, specifically look bad because you are the guy that pushed gambling.
Yeah, and I get all of the optics component to it, but again, nobody's going back. This is the world we live in
Yeah.
now. They've all made their decisions. And
Yep.
also, even if you weren't getting live betting, despite and in spite of the bet that you and I have about the Wolves over the dinner, I'm not really a gambler anymore because a lifetime of covering sports and reporting on it has taught me that I don't know what the outcome will be. And I would be infinitely wealthier if I had just saved all that money. If
Sure.
I knew what the outcome would be, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be on an island right now with my feet in the sand and a drink in my,
That,
or an umbrella in my drink. I just wouldn't be here. So I'm not really a gambler, but I know enough to know that you can place a bet anywhere you want with anyone, and you don't need the NBA to provide it for you. So if you're the NBA and people are going to, it's kind of like if people are going to booze anyway during prohibition, I might as well offer them some booze. People are now legally gambling, so the NBA might as well offer them their fix. It's not surprising. It's a business
well,
decision.
yeah, and they want people who, I mean, part of this is people who watch League Pass because they love hoops. That's not who they're targeting. I mean, the gambling partners are.
It's the
The NBA
casual, it's
wants
the gambler. Yeah.
they want the gambler. So my
Yeah.
brother's a gambler. He doesn't watch a lot of hoops. In 5 years, I would say there's a 50% chance my brother's watching hoops because he'll just be sitting in his house watching League Pass gambling on. That's what the NBA
Yeah.
wants. It's interesting.
Well, careful what you want and wish for, but they have gotten it now. So Godspeed to the NBA and Adam Silver.